What's going on, guys? Chip here. Welcome back to another Pokemon TCG video. Today I am joined by Azul Garcia Griego. How's it going, Azul?
Going good. Going good.
Yep.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, great. We're going to be taking a look at the Ultra Prism set. The full set list is on PokeBeach. I know this is coming out a little late. The official release date, I believe, is this Friday. So I did want to get a set review out there for you guys. A set review, as I've heard some people call it. So we're going to jump in and kind of run through this thing. There's going to be a lot of Pokemon. You guys know how it is with some of these sets. You know, there's going to be some filler Pokemon here and there. So we might fly past some guys, but we're going to try to hit on all the GXs in the set, all the other cool cards that we're going to be reading through. And this is on PokeBeach. I'll leave a link to it in the description if you guys want to check out the set list for yourself. But without further ado, Azul, are you ready, my man?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right, so we are going to start things off with an Execute, not the Propagation Execute that we might be used to in Expanded, but we have 50 HP, Grass type, Continuous Explosion, 20 damage, flip a coin to get tails. This attack does 20 for each heads. And I believe the Exeggutor is a Dragon type, so we'll get to him a little later, but nothing too exciting there on the Execute, I don't think.
No, not at all.
Unless you're really good at flipping heads.
Yeah.
Like lots of heads. All right, we'll move on to a Yanmega evolution line, grass types. The Yanma 70 HP, super speed for 2 colorless energy, 20 damage, flip a coin of heads, prevent all effects of attacks, including damage done to this Pokemon during your opponent's next turn. And then Yanmega 120 HP, supersonic for grass, 30 damage, your opponent's Pokemon is now confused. And then Cutting Wind for 4 colorless does 120 damage. Yanmegas normally have their attacks based on, like, you know, not being very expensive, but this guy's attacks are extremely expensive.
Yeah, that's a little too much, I think.
The Yanma is kind of interesting, I guess, like if there's ever a need to run a Yanma deck. I'm going to slide my face cam over a little bit. There we go. If there's ever a need to run a Yanmega, like with Yanmega Break, that's probably like the optimal Yanma.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Other than that, not much going on for Yanmega. We've got a Roserade line, Roselia, Petal Dance, Grass Colorless, flip 3 coins, it does 30 damage times the number of heads. This Pokemon is now confused. And Roserade, Stage 1, 100 HP, Lure Poison, switch one of your opponent's benched Pokemon with their active Pokemon. The new active Pokemon is now poisoned. And then Flower Mixer for a Grass, and Colorless, 100 damage. You may choose any number of Grass energy attached to your Pokemon and move them to your other Pokemon in any way that you like. Got any feelings about Roserade here?
No, I mean, the first attack is always kind of cool. That's always, we've had similar attacks in the past on Pokemon like that.
Yeah.
But being a stage 1, you know, it's a little too much to commit. But if it was on like a basic, if it was on the like Roselia, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
But it's on the Roserade, so
we have like a similar effect on some Pokemon. I think there's like a Clefairy that lets you switch, or there's like, I think there's a what's it called? Carnivine from Shining Legends does this.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
Grass, I think. I'm not positive though. I know
it at least switches them out.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it poisons, but yeah, as you said, Stage 1 probably not. It's gonna have too much happening for him. And then we've got a Torterra line. There's actually 2 different Turtwigs here. That's kind of cool with these Diamond and Pearl starters. They gave us there's 2 different ones of each of them, and there's one of them that has like the artwork that was the promo artwork from way back in the Diamond and Pearl era in like 2007 or whenever that would have been. So that's, I don't know, kind of cool. I like it when they do stuff like that, but
I don't even remember this artwork, and I played back then.
Really? I think it was like a promo. There's like a, you know how they always do like a promo for the first 3 little guys. I'm pretty sure it was at least. But all right, so there's 2 different Turtwigs here. First one, 70 HP, Synthesis. Search your deck for a Grass energy, attach it to one of your Pokemon, then shuffle your deck, and Headbutt Bounce, 30 damage for Grass and Colorless. And the other one has 80 HP, Tackle for 20, and Razor Leaf for 50 for 2 Grass and a Colorless. Then Grottle here, Stage 1, 110 HP, Mega Drain, 30 damage, heal 30 from this Pokemon, Razor Leaf 80. Not going to read all the attack costs if they're not that great. And we'll continue on to Torterra. Stage 2, 180 HP, so a lot of HP on a non-EX, non-GX. Giga Drain, 50 damage for a Grass, Colorless. Heal from this Pokemon the same amount of damage you did to your opponent's active Pokemon. And then Earthquake for 3 Grass and a Colorless, 180 damage, does 20 damage to each of your benched Pokemon. Don't apply weakness and resistance. You feeling the turtle?
No, not much. I mean, the one thing I like is like how they gave you know, they have the two different Turtwigs, and like one has a good attack, the other one has more HP. So that's I'm glad they're doing stuff like that.
Makes you like pick, right?
I feel like usually they're just both useless, but like they started to at least in this set it seems like they're trying to change it up a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah, the Torterra always like almost has good attacks. Like if they both cost, if both the attacks cost like one grass less and then like one more colorless, they would work with DCE. But like it's just too much energy unless you're trying to set up like Torterra and Venusaur or something in the same deck. But that's like,
just too much happening.
Oh yeah.
So we'll move on past Torterra and on to a Cherum. We've got the Cherubi, the basic here. Surprise attack for a grass, 30 damage. Flip a coin. If tails, it does nothing. And then Cherum, 80 HP, stage 1, ability Weather Guard. Each of your grass Pokemon has no weakness. And then Seed Bomb for a grass does 30 damage. So I could see this being used in some sort of, like as a 1-1 line in certain grass decks if there's a lot of, you know, Volcanion or stuff like that in your area. I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah, for sure. It's cool. Support Pokemon, 1-1 line.
Yeah. Kind of reminds me of like Azelf level X gave each of your psychic Pokemon no weakness, right?
Yeah.
But that was level X. You had to have it active to bring it up, so.
Yeah. I'm not sure what it would be played in right now, but it's cool to have for future.
Yeah, could be used for sure.
Yeah.
We've got a Carnivine here, 90 HP. It's kind of interesting. We go normally a long time without getting Carnivine cards, and we've got them in, like, we had it in Shining Legends. Now we got another one here, like a set later. So, Gobble as the attack for a colorless, 20 damage, heal 20 from this Pokemon, and Loom over 90 minus damage. This attack does 10 less damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon. Every time I read an attack that's got that little minus next to it, I'm just like, ooh, probably not going to be messing with that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But moving past him, we get to our first GX. Maybe the first card we'll actually have something positive to say about. We've got Leafeon GX with 200 HP. Stage 1, evolves from Eevee with the ability Breath of the Leaves. If this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, once during your turn before you attack, you may heal 50 damage from one of your Pokemon that has any energy attached to it. And then Solar Beam does 110 damage for a grass and 2 colorless. And then Grand Bloom GX as the GX attack. For each of your benched basic Pokemon, search your deck for a card that evolves from that Pokemon and put it onto that Pokemon to evolve it. Then shuffle your deck. Can't use more than 1 GX attack per game. Weakness to Fire, Retreat of 2. What are you thinking about Leafeon in the new set?
I mean, I think it might be the second best GX in the set actually, because I'm not too blown away by a couple of the other ones we'll get to that other people seem to be, you know, fiending for right now. But the ability is actually super good. I'm actually glad they made it has to be active, because if it could have come off the bench, it might be like too good. But you can do really stuff like with 2 Leafy. If you're just attacking with Leafeon, you just do 2 Leafeons. That first Leafeon heals. You have a Float Stone on it. Retreat to the other Leafeon, heal again. It's got a good attack that 2 shots pretty much everything. Its GX attack is good with the right partner. I think the best partner is obviously going to be Decidueye.
Yeah,
and you could very, 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 very well see a Leafeon Decidueye deck becoming very, very strong. We'll have to see how it works out, but like being able to heal 100 a turn, I imagine you don't even have to play Choice Band in a deck like that. You could just play 4 Floatstone because you want to get your Eevee active. Turn 1, turn 2, Grand Bloom. Turn 3, evolve to Decidueyes. Don't even play Rakandy at that point, and then you just kind of can do 100 heal a turn. You probably just play Floatstone, so you switch between your Leafeons and just swing with Leafeon. Don't even attack with Decidueye, and it just makes up the damage for you with the Feather Arrows.
Yeah, and there's a new supporter as well in this set that heals like 80 from a Pokemon with a grass energy on it or something like that. So you could even throw some more healing in there. We of course have Acerola, but that kind of almost defeats the purpose because you want to like be able to heal without having to use an Acerola. So yeah, I agree. The ability is definitely super interesting and a pretty efficient attack cost for, you know, a colored energy and for 2 colorless, especially with DC in the format. So Leafeon definitely one to keep your eyes on. And we'll move on here to the first of the Rotoms. We'll talk about several different Rotoms, all being very similar, just basically different typings and slightly different attacks. But we've got the ability Rotomotor. If there are 9 or more Pokemon tool cards in your discard pile, ignore the attack costs of this Pokemon. And then Grass, Colorless, Special Cut, 60 damage, discard a special energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. What do you think about these Rotom cards with that Rotom? They all have that Roto something ability. I think they're called different things, but it's the same effect where if there's 9 tools in the discard, it doesn't cost anything to use its attacks.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. It's super cool that they're just. I mean, I always love it when like this, like random stuff like this, Pokemon just prints on cards, even if it doesn't end up being viable.
Yeah.
I think the struggle is just trying to make this card viable. There's the obvious partner of Gorgeist, using Gorgeist, and then you have your Tech Rotoms in there for certain matchups that you want to be able to have a stronger matchup against. This one specifically does not have a great attack. Actually, it's like okay, but it doesn't actually like pull one shots against the weaknesses that you want it to.
Right.
It does discard the special energy, which of course could always be nice depending on what matchup it is and what you're trying to do. But overall, I think this is one of the weaker ones compared to some of the other ones I've seen. Just how they can just like take one shots based on weakness once you get the 9 tools in the discard pile.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it definitely has obvious synergy with Gorgeist, but besides that, I struggle to see how most of the Rotom cards would work just because of the ability. And you don't really want to actually pay the energy cost for any of their attacks most of the time because they're not very efficient for the energy cost, but they're super efficient to use for free. So we'll see with these guys if they actually end up being viable.
All right, we'll move it on to a Shaman here. We've got Shaman, 80 HP, basic Pokemon. Search your deck for up to 3 basic Pokemon of different types and put them onto your bench. Then shuffle your deck afterwards. That's, Beckon for a colorless. And then Soothing Scent, 30 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep. I think that first attack is pretty interesting. I'm not sure, obviously the first thing that kind of comes to mind is something like a Rainbow Road deck. But honestly, I feel like you'd rather use something like Bridget and not have to attack to do it. What do you think of Beckon with Shaman here?
Yeah, I mean it would be very good if it cost 0 energy, I think. But because it does cost the 1 energy, it's super awkward to get it into your active in the first 2 turns and have it be more efficient than Bridget.
Yeah.
So right now, not great, but I'm not sure when Bridget rotates. If it is rotating the next format or not. So if it is, this could come up and be pretty good, actually.
Yeah. It lets you go get like a Zorua and a Rockruff and like a Remoraid or something, to get stuff set up. I guess you wouldn't really be playing Octillery with a Zoroark deck, but I don't know.
Yeah.
If there's some other
depending
type.
depending on what you're playing, if you play many types and Bridget, if either Bridget just doesn't work for your deck for some reason, or if Bridget no longer, or when Bridget gets rotated.
Right.
Shaman might be able to step in and then help you out on the early game consistency.
Another one to keep your eye on for the future. And we'll move on to an Araquanid line. I think we've had like 5 or we've had 6. This is the 5th Sun and Moon set, and I think this is the 3rd or 4th Araquanid line that we've had in a Sun and Moon set. So they're loving on this guy. But we've got Dewpider here, 60 HP, bubble, 10 damage, flip a coin of heads. They're now paralyzed. And then Araquanid has the Water Bubble ability as a grass type. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks of your opponent's fire Pokemon. And then Aqua Edge for grass, colorless, 70 damage. This is actually exactly the same as the Araquanid from Sun and Moon base set, but that one is just a water type. This one is a grass type. Got any thoughts about the spider?
Yeah, I mean, because you're using it to beat fire Pokemon, the water one just seems better. I don't know, maybe Grant will be able to come up with something, but this one somehow get the grass typing to be more effective than it would seem. But yeah, it's okay. The water one's still probably the more efficient version. Yeah,
the only deck that Araquanid has ever seen competitive success in was when Grant Manley got 2nd place at Virginia Regionals last year. He played it to be able to counter Volcanion and said he never even used it against Volcanion. So there you go. We'll continue on. We are moving past the grass types on to the fire types. We've got a Magmar and Magmortar. Magmar with 80 HP has Field Burn. Discard 1 card from the top of your opponent's deck for a fire. And then Flamethrower, 80 damage. Discard 1 energy from this Pokemon. And then we have Magmortar here with the ability Scorching Body. If this Pokemon is your active Pokemon and is damaged by an attack, the defending Pokemon is now burned. And then Fire Gun for a fire colorless, 80 damage. You may discard 2 energy from this Pokemon. If you do, this attack does 80 more damage.
Yeah, so not great. The ability is very nice. It could be decent and expanded with Blacksmith, but sure. Right now in Standard, we don't really have anything to efficiently keep up with the energy cost of the attack, to keep discarding 2 energy every turn.
Yeah, I feel like if this was a basic Pokemon in Expanded, it would be like really, really good. But
oh yeah,
putting it behind a stage 1 makes it just seem a little like, are your numbers even that, like you do 80, then you do 160 plus 90, that's or plus 30, that's 190 with Choice Band if you're discarding the energy, and then if they attack you, they take 2, so that's that 210 number that you're looking for. But whenever you're kind of relying on your opponent to do the last bit of damage to knock themselves out, that's just like not really ever going to happen, you know?
Yeah, it's never efficient for that. Yeah.
So close, but I'm not quite feeling Magmortar either. And continuing on, we've got another Diamond and Pearl starter going on here. We've got an Infernape line, Chimchar. Same thing, we've got two different ones. Both have 60 HP this time. The first one, Flare, for a... this one actually only has 40 HP, sorry. It says 60 HP in the text, but the card clearly has 40 HP printed on it. So 40 HP...
Weak Chimchar.
Yes, this man is real small. 40 HP Flare for a fire does 20 damage, and then the other ones, this one actually has 60 HP. Fury swipes 10 times, flip 3 coins, does 10 for the number of heads. Monferno, Super Sling, 20 damage, your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned for a fire. And then the Infernape, I think, is pretty interesting here with the ability Hot-Blooded Fighter. Your opponent's active Pokemon take 6 damage counter from burn between turns. And then we have a Burst Punch, 50 damage, your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned. Thoughts on Infernape with that Hot-Blooded Fighter ability?
Yeah. So yeah, the attack is very inefficient, but the ability is really cool. But it's on a stage 2, which is annoying, and like Pokemon is not really giving us any efficient ways to burn Pokemon right now, pretty much at all. So even if you can burn them, it's always just difficult to burn your opponent, and then you have to get out of stage 2 to get the effectiveness of the Hot-Blooded Fighter. So it's just a little too slow, a little too much that you need.
Have you considered him with Entei GX from Shooting Legends? That's something I've seen some people talking about.
What does Entei GX do?
Entei GX for a fire colorless does 100 damage, and your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned. So you go Choice Band plus 1 Steam Up from like a Volcanion EX, and that lets you get to, I think, 220, right?
So it's fire colorless?
I believe so. I can look it up real fast to confirm. Entei GX.
Yeah, that just seems like
GX.
Too much to invest to just burn a Pokemon, and then needing to set up a stage 2 as well. It's just like a lot. That's like 3 energy attack.
It is a fire,
you can play Max
colorless.
Elixir, sure, but yeah. And then you need your stage 2 online to get the effectiveness of the Hot-Blooded Fighter. So it's just too many pieces for sure, I think.
Yeah. Just a combo I'd seen some people talk about. Wanted to get your thoughts on it. But we'll move on to Rotom number 2 of the day. We've got Heat Rotom here with the Rotomotor ability. Same thing, 9 tools in the discard. Ignore the costs of its attack. 90 HP, and then Heat Blast for a fire and 2 colorless does 80 damage. So this is definitely something that in the Gourgeist deck could be a little more splashable. You throw the Choice Band on it, you're going to be one-shotting fire-weak Pokemon. So if that's something you're worried about, I think that's where Rotom fits in.
Yeah, so this is one of the good Rotoms for sure. It one-shot stuff that have the weakness of fire, whereas like the grass one we saw earlier was like 60 damage. The discarding special was like okay, but this guy, like, he gets there. They still needs the Choice Band, but he gets there to get the one-shot for the typing you're trying to pull out of him.
It can also be a little awkward though, because like you need the tool to get the one-shot, but you're also supposed to be discarding the tools, so you got to make sure you keep those Choice Bands around for when you want this to come up. And I don't know, it's just kind of interesting as well, because like I don't feel like Gourgeist normally struggles to get the KOs. Like, it can hit the numbers it needs to, and there's really no popular grass-type Pokemon at this time. I guess Leafeon GX, if that becomes a lot more popular, that could be a reason to play this guy. But
I mean, my man Golisopod is still around.
Oh, that's fair. Sorry, excuse me. But Golisopod, when paired with Garbodor, doesn't allow Rotomotor to do too much. So
that is true. I mean, there's Zoroark, Golisopod. I don't know. We'll see. There could be some other new grass stuff coming up. I think it would be definitely a consideration to tech as a one-up, because I know the Gourgeist deck can sometimes struggle to take the last knockout, just because you start to run out of tools. Actually, sometimes you get end low, but if you get the Rotom on the bench early, they can't really chase that, as they still have to deal with your Gourgeists, and eventually just pull out the game with him.
Okay, we'll move on to a Salazzle line. Nothing too special about the basic. The stage 1 here, Burning Poison for a fire. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned, confused, and poisoned. And then we have Assassin Nail, 60 plus damage. If your opponent's active Pokemon is affected by a special condition, this attack does 60 more damage, and that is for a fire and a colorless. Any thoughts on Salazzle?
I mean, the first attack's kind of cool. The second attack would be cool too if it just costs 1 fire.
Like, if they both cost 1.
Yeah, because even if it was like, that's still not crazy. It's still a stage 1, only 110 HP, but They give it the extra colorless cost on Assassin Ale, and it just becomes kind of too slow, too clunky.
I agree. So we'll keep on going to a Turtonator here. Searing Flame, 10 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned. Has 130 HP. And then Explosive Heat Cannon, 100 damage for a fire and 3 colorless. And 4 retreat. So this is a fatty right here.
Oh, yeah. See, actually, I've seen this. I actually think his Searing Flame is a pretty good attack overall. Burned is actually... overall better than poison. It's just that we have no way to apply burned to Pokemon efficiently like we do sometimes have poisoned. But like if you're just comparing the two, because those are the two that do damage consistently between turns, because the burn does 20 damage now, and then you flip the coin instead. It used to be flip a coin, and then
20,
yeah. So I actually think it's pretty good. That's 30 damage for sure, and if it sticks, I mean, it's 1 fire energy. I don't know how you would use him, but I think overall he's got 130 HP. Probably never use his second attack, but like if you need just some kind of early game shenanigans with your deck and you're running fire energy or something, like I think he's actually decent for that.
For sure. I mean, can work with that Infernape maybe, you know, get a little more damage in between turns, so who knows.
Yeah.
We'll continue on to the water types. We've got an Alolan Sandslash line. The basic has a free attack, Fury Swipes, flip 3 coins, 10 for each heads. And then Alolan Sandslash has Spike Armor for free, 30 damage. If it's damaged by an attack during your opponent's next turn, place 6 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. And then Icy Breath, watercolors, colorless, does 90 damage. Got anything, about Sandslash?
It's cute. Attacking for free, of course, is always good, but I doubt it's enough to do anything. I don't know. There could be some kind of like heavy lock, not heavy lock, but heavy disruption deck, and you just sit here and you attack with Sandslash with a choice band for 60, and they take 60 if they attack into you again, and you like play, I don't know, 4 Flare Grunts and stuff like that, Lusamine.
Yeah, maybe.
You attack for free so you don't have to play energy, but besides that, probably doesn't have too much going on for him.
Hey, he's probably really good in your pre-release formats, so...
Oh, yeah. Oh, I can only imagine, actually. That's it.
This man's dirty in pre-release.
Even just the Sandshrew for free, because that's the whole thing about the pre-release is just putting your energy somewhere efficient, because it's always built up to like it's all about energy attachments and pre-releases from the ones I've played.
When's the last pre-release you played in?
It's probably been about maybe like 6 months.
Okay.
But yeah, I played
in one.
Than
I thought.
Yeah, but the gap between that one and the last one was probably like a year or two.
Sure.
Yeah. It's always about getting energy attachments and then
for sure
building up to something. So being able to attack for free is super cute.
We'll move on here to an Alolan Vulpix. No Ninetales in the set, just Alolan Vulpix here. I think this is just like something that was in their Sun and Moon 4+, and so they needed to throw it in here somewhere. But we've got Roar for free. Your opponent switches their active Pokemon with one of their benched Pokemon, and then Icy Snow for a water does 10. I think this attack is like pretty neat, but like they like giving the Vulpix, like there's like another one that has like, you know, puts your opponent to sleep or something like that for free.
Yeah, I think it's on flip a coin though.
Okay, yeah. But so like they love giving these Vulpix like pretty interesting free attacks, but I think the Beacon one is definitely just still straight up like strictly better than the rest of them if you're playing a Ninetales deck.
Yeah, they kind of gave us the best one first, and all the ones since then have been kind of subpar.
Yeah.
Beacon is definitely by far the best.
The way to go. All right, we'll move on to Empoleon, another one of these Diamond Pearl starters, and this one does have some hype behind it, so we'll talk about this guy. We've got Piplup here, the 60 HP basic water, splattered 20 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon for a water, and then 70 HP, has a little more HP, but does Peck for 10 for a colorless, and Wave Splash 20 for a water colorless. Prinplup, Bubble Beam, 20 damage, flip a coin if heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed, so that's kind of useful there for just a water energy. And then Wave Splash, 40 damage for water and colorless. And then Empoleon here, 160 HP, stage 2 Pokemon with a total command attack, 20 damage. This attack does 20 damage times the number of Pokemon on each player's bench for a water and a colorless. And then Whirlpool for water colorless does 90 damage, discard 1 energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. This guy is obviously going to be here for that total command attack. And people have been talking about it, you know, if you've got both players with a full bench of 5 apiece, that's 200 damage. You know, that's a lot of damage. That'll take knockouts with a choice band on anything in the format, except for like Metagross and Segaleo. But I don't know, what do you think about Empoleon?
Yeah, he's a stage 2. I'm obviously not a huge fan of stage 2s, but I think for what he has, it's pretty good. The 160 HP is like kind of awkward to hit for a lot of decks, so Like if he sticks around like 2 turns, he's doing quite a amount of work. I mean, your damage, of course, your opponent can have some control over how much damage you actually do. So it's not, he can be played around, so he can't get the one shots every turn. But being just worth one single prize himself and having so much HP, if he just doesn't get one shot, he's going to be putting in a fair amount of work.
Yeah, the trade definitely is favorable for you if they're two-shotting your non-EX and you're two-shotting their EX or GX. I keep saying EX, but GX. They're two-prizer.
And we have Aqua Patch too now, so you can actually stream multiple Empoleons back to back to back if you want to. He is a stage 2, so it all comes down to if the meta works out right for him, so he's not getting one shot each time he comes active. Because if he is, he's not going to work. But if he's not, definitely has some potential.
And since it's a water colorless attack cost, I actually also I've disliked counter energy in general. I think since there hasn't been a way for it to be really utilized since its release. But I think that this is a card that it fits well on. You're behind, you slap one attachment on it, you get the effect, and then you're not behind anymore. It becomes a colorless. Oh, you just attach another water energy, and it's like getting 2 attacks for 2 attachments, but doing it both times. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I didn't even consider. You could actually play him without Aqua Patch and just play splash energy plus counter energy.
Yeah.
Because if you just don't play down too many GX
for sure. I didn't even think about that either.
Yeah. So then you go from the counter energy into just a colorless. You attach a splash, swing again. You get your whole line back. So I guess he has some potential to be able to be played without Aqua Patch
for acceleration. Cool. Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to a Floatzel, a little bit worse of a water type. The basic here, 70 HP, water gun for 30, and then the stage 1, agility, 30 damage, flip a coin if heads, prevent all effects of attacks, including damage done to this Pokemon during your opponent's next turn. Aqua Blast, water colorless, 80 damage, discard a water. I think Floatzel's going to get a big thumbs down from both of us.
Yep.
And we'll move on. We'll go on to an Abomasnow. We've got Snover, the basic, 80 HP, Ice Shard, 20 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon. If your opponent's active Pokemon is a fire Pokemon, it does 40 more damage, so hitting a decent chunk of damage, but it is a water colorless. And then we've got Abomasnow, ability, Blessing of the Frost-Covered Trees. That is a heck of a name on an ability right there. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may attach a water energy from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon, and then Hypno Hammer, water, colorless, 80 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep. I think the ability's interesting, but it's also there's an item card that does sort of the same thing that doesn't require you to play a 1/1 line and use a benched Pokemon. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. I actually kind of like the Snover here.
Okay.
Being able to do 60 to a fire it's fire or fighting?
It's fire. Fire.
No, it's fighting. It's fighting.
Is it fighting? Oh, you're right. It is fighting.
It says the
I
F.
see it.
Okay.
It says
I saw the F, and then I remembered Pokebeach has R is fire,
That's
F is
right.
fighting.
You're correct.
All right, so not as good as I thought, but if it was fire with a choice band, it can one-shot stuff like Volcanion. So that's what I came off my head initially. You can go, I don't know, Max Elixir or Aqua Patch plus an attachment, one-shot of Volcanion. But it is fighting, so he's probably not too good. Are fighting Pokemon at all weak to water ever? They are sometimes, right?
Yes. Like Groudon from Dark Explorers is water weak, but I can't think of something recent, though.
Yeah. So he has potential eventually if there's a water weak fighting Pokemon, actually. But the Abomasnow is just kind of a stage 1 to do something that an Aqua Patch basically does. Sure, you can attach it to your active, it looks like, but
you could maybe play it in combination with the Empoleon we were talking about. It lets you get that attachment in play since it's a 2 energy attack cost, and it's plus 20 damage for your attack command attack. So, maybe there's something there with it, but I don't think you'd want to commit to more than a 1/1 line of this guy ever.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's quite strong enough.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll continue on to another of the Evolution GXs. A lot of hype behind this guy for sure. We've got Glaceon GX, 200 HP, stage 1, with the ability Freezing Gaze. As long as this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, your opponent's Pokemon GX and Pokemon EX in play in their hand and in their discard pile have no abilities except for Freezing Gaze. And then we've got Frozen Bullet, water, colorless, 90 damage. This attack does 30 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. And then we've got Polar Spear GX for water, colorless, 50 damage. It does 50 damage for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. Weakness to metal, 2 retreats. There's a lot of hype behind this card. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think it's overhyped because I think Lele attacks so efficiently into the card, and Lele is played in everything. But I do think it's good. Like, the ability is obviously very strong. Would be way worse if we didn't have energy evolution Eevee, but we do, so that combos well with it. Its attack is, and its primary attack, and the reason you have to be using it is because it has to be active for its ability to work. So you are going to be using Frozen Bullet. It's not great. It's okay. You know, it 2 shots with the choice band, most things, and you get the 30 snipes. So it's good. It's not as good. It's definitely good, but it's not, you know, broken or anything. The Polish Beer is actually a super awkward attack because you have to have damage on them already, and then you're taking the effect of the bonus damage to 50 times. So if you already have damage on them, maybe you just want to be hitting them with Frozen Bullet again anyway. So how good is Polar Spear? It doesn't seem great. I guess you can do stuff like Snipe for 30, and then Choice Band plus GX would kill something with 210, which is a big number to hit right now. So that's cool. But it's not like a huge game-changing GX attack, I feel like. It's just kind of nice to have. Yeah, I'm definitely in the boat of it being overhyped. But I think it definitely has potential.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I think with Zoroark being extremely popular, you know, shutting off the trade ability, you know, N plus Freezing Gaze is good. I don't know if I'm behind the whole, you know, quad Glaceon mindset that some people have gone with. I think I would definitely pair this with an attacker. Something like Zoroark GX, I think the numbers are actually pretty good for that. You know, we have Zoroark does 120 with a full bench. Frozen Bullet, Frozen Bullet does 90 damage, so that plus 120, that's your 210 right there. So that's a, you know, good math for that. You know, 150 with a Choice Band for Zoroark, so the 30 damage, that's 180, so that's also a solid number. So the math is there, I think. I've also heard people talk about this with Lapras GX, since Lapras doesn't have metal weakness. Lapras, I believe, is weak to grass, and you know, the numbers also are pretty decent with that as well. You know, you have you know, 160 for the Lapras attack, 30 on the bench. That's 190, which is also a relevant number to hit. You know, with the Choice Band 220, it's going to take knockouts, and then you know, 160 plus 90, that's 250. So that'll knock out the Sogalios and the Metagrosses running around. So I don't know. There's some interesting math numbers with different attackers, but I think like this, you know, I think it has the issue like you were talking about, how Lele just efficiently attacks into it if you're putting 3 energies on this guy. So I don't know. I think it's interesting. Yeah. We'll move on to Rotom number 3. Actually, we're gonna have 3 and 4 back to back, so we'll just do them all together. First one is Wash Rotom, Rotomotor ability, and then Wash Arrow, excuse me, does 50 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. And then we have Frost Rotom with that Rotomotor ability. Frost Crash 10 plus, it does 20 more damage for each energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon.
Yes, I think these are the 2. From the ones I've seen, I don't know if I've seen all the Rotoms. I think these are the 2 best Rotoms in to combo with Gourgeist. You know, if there's another Rotom deck that pops up, you can somehow get 9+ tools in your discard pile without playing Gourgeist. Maybe you can get something like that working. But these are, I think, the 2 best with Gourgeist. The first one, the 50 Snipe, there's a lot of times where Gourgeist will miss the KO, but you still want to do damage because you don't want to get Field Blowed, or Klefki leaves your field because Klefki is a big attacker. Pushing Balloon sometimes. So then you can clean up with this Rotom, the Wash Rotom, which is really cool. And then for the Frost Rotom, you know, if you play deck, you know, if you play against Volcanion specifically, one-shot them. You play against something like a Buzzwole deck, they put a lot of energy in play.
Oh, yeah.
It's plus 20, right? Yeah, so if they do something like, if they have just like, I don't know, 6 energy, I don't know, 7 energy, like Buzzwole gets a lot of energy in play. You can use him plus a Choice Band, kill like Lele's. Volcanion obviously puts a lot of energy in play, but they're water weak as well, so it's pretty efficient and pretty easy to get the one-shots there.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I think overall these are the 2 best. Just for overall. Yeah, overall of the rooms that I've seen. I don't know if I've actually seen all of them though.
I think that might be all of them. I can't remember what other. There's the washing machine, the refrigerator, the microwave, or the oven.
I've seen there's
fan.
A fan.
But we haven't gotten to the fan yet.
Yeah.
And it's a colorless, I think. So we'll get to that. I'm pretty sure, if I remember right, I think it's like does 20 everywhere, so it's kind of like Tapu Koko. But we'll see when we get to it. And the final water Pokemon here, we've got Manaphy, 70 HP basic, Deep Sea Current, search your discard pile for 5 water energy, show them to your opponent, shuffle them into your deck, and then Water Pulse, 20 damage, your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cool first attack that could be used eventually, maybe. But besides that, he's kind of, meh.
Yeah, I feel like most of the decks that put lots of... Like, I mean, maybe... Yeah, I don't know. Like, the stuff currently that is water decks, like, you've got Greninja, and they want waters in their discard to use with Starmie to get back. Stuff like Ninetales and Lapras, like, will be using Aqua Patch, so you don't really want to put the waters back in your deck. So, I don't know. It's, like, interesting, like you said, but I don't see anything for it right now either.
Yeah, I think the only thing that could come up is in an expanded Archeostoice deck, where they're trying to beat a deck that either locks items or something and takes KOs actively against it, and then you could play one of him. You can search him out with Ultra Ball. He's not an item. He's not a supporter, so he can't be locked out. And by those means, you can put him down, get the water energy back. But that's about the only thing I can think of that he would ever be useful with right now.
Sure. All right, moving on to the lightning types, electric types, however you want to say it. We've got an Electivire. The Electabuzz, low kick, 30 damage, Thunder, 90, does 30 to itself. And then Electivire, Steel Short, 60 damage. The defending Pokemon is a metal Pokemon. The defending Pokemon is now paralyzed. And then Volt Tackle, 130 for a lightning, colorless. Like, anytime there's something that has instant paralysis on it, it's, like, kind of worth looking at, because paralysis is just so strong. Yep. But at the same time, like, you're only going to be doing it to metal Pokemon, and unless metal Pokemon is, like, every deck you're going to play against at a tournament, it's not really much happening for you there.
Yeah, I don't think there's much going on for it. I mean, yeah, unless literally you're going to play against... or enough metal decks that you want to, like, tech a 2/2 of it into something, then sure, I could see it working.
Yeah, maybe. All right, we'll keep... I mean, I guess with, like, the unit energies that we'll talk about later, like, you don't have to commit to just this guy in your deck, right? Like, what's the unit energy? Psychic, Lightning, Metal, right?
Sounds about right, yeah.
I think that's correct. So you pair it with Trashalanche Garbiter or something like, Celesteela, a basic Pokemon that can do a decent chunk of damage with metal energies. So, I don't know. It's kind of interesting. But we'll continue on to another Pokemon that has seen some hype. We've got the Luxio, Luxray, Shinx evolution line. First off, Shinx, 50 HP with the ability Runaway Evolution. This Pokemon can evolve the turn it was played if it's on the first turn of the player going second. And then Static Shock, Lightning for 10. And then the other one also has 50 HP. Charge, search your deck for 1 Lightning Energy and attach it to this Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. So I think it's pretty obvious which one people would choose to play of these two.
Yeah.
And we've got Luxio with Disconnect for a colorless, 30 damage. Your opponent can't play any item cards from their hand during their next turn. People are, just having fond memories of Toad back in the day. 30 damage, no items. Look at this guy. And then we also have Luxray. Stage 2 evolves from Luxio with the ability Intimidating Fang. As long as this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks do 30 less damage before applying weakness and resistance. And then we have Voltage Arrow for Lightning, colorless. Discard all Lightning attached to this Pokemon. This attack does 150 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Don't apply weakness and resistance for benched Pokemon. So I think the combo that people are obviously thinking of is being able to get up into this Luxray and then using Shining Celebi to sit on the bench, which allows you to use attacks of previous evolutions, tank some hits with 150 HP non-EX, and then lock your opponent out of the game with items and disruption cards. But what do you think of this strategy here with Luxio?
I mean, I think it has potential, but I think in something... It would depend on, like, I think for it to have success, it would depend on the size of the tournament. Like, I don't think this would see success at a regional level, unless the meta gets really, really narrowed down. But something like a League Cup, League Challenge, whatever, more narrowed down local metas, I could see this like working to success. I think the combo overall is pretty cool, interesting, but I don't think it quite has. It doesn't seem like it probably has enough going for it to where it can like stand in a like a solid, healthy meta of decks.
Sure. So interesting, but it might not quite get there. It's also worth noting, I guess, there's like the Luxray break that would give you a little more HP as well, but I'm not sure how much that like necessarily helps the... I think that thing has 170 HP, so I'm not sure how much that really helps you just getting the plus 20.
Does it have an attack or an ability?
I think its attack is like 4 lightning for...
4 lightning.
Yeah, I don't... It's like 100 plus 50 if you flip heads. I can look it up real fast. But, like, I think that if the Luxray didn't have the ability, it would be a lot worse. But I think that's, like, one of the better things it has going for it.
Oh yeah, it keeps it alive. And this deck could you could easily use, because everything, if you're just using the 1 energy attack of disconnect, you can easily play like Acerola and stuff. Like once you actually set up most of your once you start setting up, your Luxios and Shinx, you can actually just start Acerola because he's pretty tanky overall. It's 150 minus 30 for each attack, so 180. Not a whole lot of things are one-shotting it. I mean, some are, but I mean, if you're getting one shot, you're not going to win. But like as a matchups that you have a chance against, they're not one-shotting you.
Yeah. I mean, and you also can clean up knockouts with the I assume this deck would play counter energies since it's a colorless cost on disconnect, and then you can get like a big voltage arrow off for just 2 attachments to do 150 somewhere to take a knockout. But then you're also breaking the item lock, so I know. But yeah, I did pull up Luxray Break here. We've got Luxray Break, 170 HP, and it has Wild Fury for a lightning, colorless, 130 plus. Flip a coin until you get tails. It does 40 more damage for each heads.
Okay, so not great.
Well, you flip 1 heads, you're knocking out a Lele, but
yeah,
like you said, not great. And I mean, I guess if you flip 2 heads, hey, that's that magic 210 number right now.
Yeah. But, all right, so it has potential. For the closer, I guess if you need, I mean, you probably have to play some kind of closing in this deck. I mean, the voltage arrows might be enough, but like having the break, the extra HP from the break even too would be nice.
Sure. Okay, so we'll see about Luxio. Interesting, but maybe not quite enough. But Pachirisu here has Static Generator, lightning energy for each of your benched Pokemon with a Nuzzle attack. Search your deck for a basic lightning energy and attach it to that Pokemon, and then shuffle your deck. And then Pachirisu here also has Nuzzle. Flip a coin if heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. The deck a lot of people are trying to fit this into would be something like a Alolan Raichu GX deck. There's the Pikachus that all have Nuzzle, so that's very useful. That's also would mean you're playing the 60 HP Pikachu as opposed to the 70 HP, because the 70 HP one doesn't have Nuzzle. But you also, I mean, there's so many strong fighting type Pokemon in Standard. We got Buzzwole and Lycanroc both being so popular. It's just, I don't really see how Alolan Raichu would ever be able to get there in a tournament.
Yeah, I think for Buzzwole decks, for sure, you're not going to be able to make it against. You could maybe make it against something like a Zoroark Lycanroc, because even if they have to commit so much to set up a Lycanroc.
Yeah.
And the Rogue GX is probably one-shotting you anyways. Sure, they'll do the Claw Slash, but you might be able to one-shot them back with a Raichu, so that trade-off is fine. But it's really just Buzzwole decks. And then even on top of that, if the deck can even function to beat other stuff, or if other stuff like a Zoroark Gold is just too fast still for you to keep up, and to be able to get to the point where you can one-shot them.
Yeah. So interesting, but maybe not quite good enough.
Yeah.
And we come to another Rotom. I was wrong. There's 2 more Rotoms. This is just the regular lightning type.
Rotom.
Yeah, this is legit Rotom. No washing machines here. He's got the Rotomotor ability, though. The OG Rotom, that's right. And he's got Plasma Slash, 120 damage. This Pokemon can't attack during your next turn.
Yeah, so I think this one's like the best one if you can find a deck that doesn't involve Gourgeist, because it's like a big hit, but free. Like for free. But like I was saying, the one that like does the 50 snipe cleanup, you can already do big hits with Gourgeist, and you just need something to clean it up. This guy does a big hit, not quite enough to knock anything out really. 120, 150 with Choice Band usually. So if you found some way if you could find another deck if you can somehow make a deck that discards enough tools into the discard pile, that is not Gourgeist, he could be good in that one, I think.
Okay. Yeah, doing 120 for free definitely seems pretty solid.
For sure.
But like you said, finding something that gets the tools down could be tough. We'll move on to the Psychic types. We've got a Drifloon line here. Drifloon, 60 HP, Creepy Wind. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused for a Psychic. Hang Down for 10. And then we've got Drifblim, has 110 HP. Damage Transport for a colorless. Move 4 damage counters from each of your Pokemon to your opponent's active Pokemon. And then we have Wheel Wind, 80 damage for a Psychic, colorless. Your opponent switches their active Pokemon with one of their bench Pokemon. I actually didn't know this card existed, but Damage Transport's kind of interesting. Yeah,
Damage Transport is actually super interesting. I haven't seen this one either. I think there's potential with that. I don't know what it's in, but if you got a deck where like your Pokemon can take a hit and most likely won't get knocked out on the following turn, and you can move them around efficiently, then Damage Transport is actually it's a pretty good attack if you can pull it off.
Yeah.
From like multiple of your Pokemon that have 40 damage on it, and then switch it over to their active. It's pretty good, but it's all about if the rest of your Pokemon can take a hit, move to the bench, not get Guzma active again, and get KO'd.
Yeah.
But yeah, besides that, it has potential.
Yeah. Then we've got a Spiritomb here, 70 HP basic with Lightness World. Search your discard pile for 2 supporter cards, show them to your opponent, and put them into your hand. That's for a colorless. And then Melody for a colorless as well, 10 damage. If the defending Pokemon is a basic Pokemon, the defending Pokemon can't attack during your opponent's next turn. This is actually pretty interesting.
This is like a big hard counter to Buzzwole almost. The Choice Band 80, it's a basic, it can't attack. Buzzwole is probably the strongest basic Pokemon that's going around right now, so it's pretty good against Buzzwole. And then actually, I like the Lightless World. Actually, you could play that in a lot of different decks. Actually, and if you're just playing a deck and you just find you're always ahead, and your opponent pretty much has to end you out of the game every time for you to lose.
Like Ghost Arbiter.
Yeah, you just have if you just can attack with you just set up Lightless World, and even if they end you, you go to Lightless World, use Lightless, or go to Spiritomb, use Lightless World, put 2 Guzmas in your hand, and then they have to end you again, but you still have 2 extra Guzmas in your deck that you can draw now. So it actually, I kind of like it. Yeah. I kind of like this card overall. And then Melody, of course, we already went over. Definitely a big hit to Buzzwoles, for sure. But besides that, it could be good in other situations.
Yeah, definitely. Melody's, both of these attacks are pretty useful. And the fact that it attacks for colorless as opposed to just for psychic energy also makes it very good. And only a 1 retreat as well. No weakness, no resistance. Spiritomb's pretty interesting. I think it's been a while since there was the Spiritomb that blocked A-Specs that saw play in some decks, I believe. I wasn't playing back then, but I know that guy was pretty good. But it might be Spiritomb's time to shine once again. Now we've got a Drapion here. The Skorupi has Hone Claws during your next turn. This Pokemon's Pierce attack does 90 damage, so Pierce does for 2 Psychic 30 damage, so if you use Hone Claws it does 90. And then Drapion, 130 HP stage 1, has Killer Stinger for 4 Psychic Energy, 100 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed and poisoned. Like I said earlier, anytime something does instant paralysis, worth looking at. But man, 4 psychic energies to power this guy up. Man, that's crazy.
Maybe an expanded. We have the Gardevoir that doubles psychic energy, I think, on Pokemon. But true. Besides that, I don't think he's got much going for him.
Yeah, just a little too much. Maybe like you said, the Gardevoir is the same thing that Venusaur is for those who don't know. But for psychic energies, like that could be maybe a way to make it happen. But then it's a stage 1 plus a stage 2. Yeah, I don't know. We'll move on to Toxicroak here. The Krogunk, 60 HP Swagger, 10 damage, flip a coin of heads, discard an energy from their active. And then Toxicroak, Poison Jab, 30 damage, your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. And then settle the score for 2 colorless, 50 damage. If any of your fighting Pokemon were knocked out by damage from an attack during your opponent's last turn, this attack does 70 more damage. So pretty interesting, tech option. Obviously, you'd have to play this in something like Buzzwole Lycanroc, maybe even Zoroark Lycanroc, since one of your fighting Pokemon has to get knocked out to use it. But it is a Psychic type, so it'll get that knockout on those Buzzwoles that you could be going up against.
Yep.
I could see it like as a 1-1 line, maybe in a Zoroark Lycanroc, because Buzzwole is kind of a tough matchup for that deck, right? And that can be a way to swing it in your favor, but at the same time, it's like a 1-1 line.
Yeah, definitely not great by any means, but it has potential in very specific metas.
Yeah,
and decks.
It is interesting for sure.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to our first Prism Star card. We've got Giratina Prism Star, basic Pokemon, Psychic type, 160 HP, a lot of HP on a basic. And then can't have more than 1 Prism. For those who don't know, since this is the first Prism Star card we're reading, I'll just say it real fast. You can't have more than 1 Prism Star card with the same name in your deck. If a Prism Star card is discarded, put it in the Lost Zone. So the Lost Zone is an area that's normally kept above the prizes. That is an area that once a card goes there, you can't get a card back out of it. So it's like a super discard pile is kind of how I would think of it. Like it's gone, but you can't get it back. Like if this was in the discard, you could Super Rod, Rescue Stretcher. Can't do that if it's in the Lost Zone.
Yep.
But we'll continue on. The ability Chaotic Star. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you may attach 2 Psychic Energy from your hand to this Pokemon. And then Crisis Dive for 4 Psychic, 120 damage, discard 2 Energy from this Pokemon. Got any thoughts on Giratina?
He's not great. Maybe something with Ninja Boy to take advantage of Chaotic Star, but that's about the only thing I can think of. Besides that, he's he doesn't have a good attack, and then there's nothing that like moves psychic energy around. So
yes, sir, there is. There is the
Lunala,
the Lunala, but
nothing efficient.
Yeah, and Lunala is also weak to dark, which means it can never really be that good because it'll just always get knocked out by Zoroark.
Yeah,
for 2 prizes for free, basically. But it does exist. All right, we'll move on to Cresselia. We've got Crescent Moon turn, discard an energy from this Pokemon. Switch all damage counters on this Pokemon with those on your opponent's active Pokemon. So kind of interesting, but does require, like, you've only got 120 HP, so it requires you to have a decent chunk of damage on you. And then Psychic, 60 damage, Psychic for a Psychic and a 2 colorless. It does 20 more damage times the amount of energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. So the same thing as Espeon GX's Psychic attack.
Yeah. So nothing special, really. Probably not going to see play at all, but I mean, the Psychic has potential depending on the situation, depending on, like, as a tech card for a certain matchup.
Yeah. Once again, something maybe, like, if you wanted to play Rainbows in your Lycanroc Zoroark, this could be a decent counter to Buzzwole, maybe. But, I don't know. We'll move on to a Cosmog, Cosmoem, and Lunala. Oh, wait, no, there's no Solgaleo on this set. Never mind. I kept reading, and there was no Solgaleo. But Cosmog and Cosmoem here. Teleport, switch this to one of your bench Pokemon for the Cosmog. And then Cosmoem also has Teleport, switch this Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. This is just the first one, or Cosmoem is a reprint of the Cosmoem from Sun and Moon base set. And Cosmog is a little different. I don't think we have this Cosmog yet in the format, but I think Dust Gathering is almost better if you're going to be using... I don't know. Maybe Teleport's better, actually, because you get to protect it from getting knocked out.
What is Dust Gathering? You just draw a card?
Yeah, it's draw a card. So I guess this would actually be a little better.
Well, I mean, if you're dead drawing.
Yeah.
I've had a collect EV or whatever it is, flip a coin of heads, draw a card, save me a couple times, so... It's close. It's close. It's probably pretty close.
Yeah. But right now, there's really nothing you're going to be playing either of these guys in, so...
Yeah.
Not a discussion. We'll save that discussion for a later date.
Yeah.
But we'll move on to Lunala Star, 160 HP, basic Prism Star rule. Don't need to read that again, sorry. And Full Moon Star for a Psychic. For each of your opponent's Pokemon in play, attach a Psychic energy from your discard pile to your Pokemon in any way that you like. And then Psystorm for 4 Psychic, 20 damage times. It does 20 damage times the amount of energy attached to all Pokemon in play.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is it just takes 4 Psychic. It's just such a heavy... Like, I don't know, if you played this Lunala Prism and the Tina and expanded with that one Gardevoir, that double Psychic energy, that might have some potential. But besides that, it's so many Psychic energies.
Yeah, and you only get to play one. So, like, once it's gone, it's gone.
So, just so many Psychic energy.
Yeah.
The attack costs are just too expensive.
I think, if anything, this would just be here for that... Full Moon Star attack, like, in a certain deck, just getting energies, like, getting up to, 6 energy in play in Standard in one turn, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But it also requires your opponent to have that many bench Pokemon, and then also you to have that many Psychic energies in your discard pile. And I can't think of anything right now that applies to.
Yeah, I think that's the hard part, getting the energy in the discard pile. So it'd be like a super late game, try and come back thing, but...
Yeah. All right, moving
on. I don't even
on.
know where that would fit. Yeah. Go ahead.
Moving on, we've got Dawn Wings Necrozma GX, another GX finally. With that ability, Invasion, once during your turn before you attack, if this Pokemon is on your bench, you may switch this Pokemon with your active Pokemon. Should definitely sound familiar. And then Flash of Darkness for 3 Psychic, 120. This attack's damage isn't affected by resistance. And then Eclipse Moon GX, 180 damage. This attack can only be used if you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent. Prevent all effects of attacks, including damage done to this Pokemon during your opponent's next turn. So I think that GX attack is pretty interesting, but it does cost 3 Psychic. This is mostly going to be used for that invasion ability, similar to how Keldeo was back in the day.
Yeah, definitely. That ability has always been super good. See it withstand in Zoroark, being super strong. Yeah, Russian Keldeo was in so many decks, like a format or two ago of Expanded for a while, actually. A couple formats ago for a couple formats. Just like in like almost every deck, and you would just rush and retreat constantly.
It was mostly for, like, I think it was biggest whenever whenever you were definitely going into a tournament expecting to play against multiple Toads with Laser Verbank.
Yeah, or just laser in general. Actually, before even Toad was a card, back when there was just everyone played laser in pretty much every single deck.
Plasma and Darkrai.
Yeah.
So I don't think that like there's a super big need to include this in a lot of decks currently, but if Pokemon for some reason ever prints another Hypnotoxic Laser, which I really hope they don't, but if they do, you're gonna want to hang on to your Dawnwings Necrozmas.
Yeah.
I don't know. Also, like if they ever print like a Hoopa GX that searches for GX Pokemon, you could use this in like an expanded Zoroark deck or something like that, and make that deck even more like Rayquaza was. But
yeah, there definitely potential for that there for sure.
But that's getting into the territory of assuming that cards are going to exist. So we'll keep moving on.
Yeah, it depends how more broken they want to make Zoroark.
For sure. And we've got Rampardos here. I'm going to start kind of trying to crank these guys out because we're almost at an hour, and I think we're like barely halfway through. So,
all right, let's do it.
Nothing really special about the basic. Oh wait, no, I guess I should just mention real fast. This is a stage 1, and Rampardos is a stage 2, and the Cranidos evolves from Mysterious Fossil, which is a new card that's a trainer will get to. Basically, they're trying to change up the fossil mechanic. You can evolve the baby fossil into the Cranidos, which also, as far as I interpret it, means that you can rare candy from the fossil trainer card up to Rampardos. I would believe, right?
I have not read the mystery fossil, but
I think as far as I understand it, I'm pretty sure it just says play this as if it was a 50 HP basic Pokemon. So
if that's what it says, then yeah, that would make sense.
We'll look at it real fast. Unidentified fossil trainer. Play this card as if it were a 60 HP colorless basic Pokemon. At any time during your turn before you attack, you may discard this card from play. This card can't retreat.
I thought it said it evolved from mystery fossil.
Mysterious fossil.
From mysterious fossil.
And this is called unidentified fossil. Maybe it's just a little wrong on the Poke Beach website. I'm sure they're the same thing.
Okay. Makes sense.
So, I don't know. We'll see. I'm pretty sure you should be able to rare candy this guy, but anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Nothing really to say about the Cranidos, but Rampardos here. Clean hit, 60+ for a fighting. If your opponent's active Pokemon is an evolved Pokemon, this attack does 60 more damage. So you got a Zoroark killer there. And Wild Bomber for 3 fighting. If your opponent's active Pokemon is a basic, it is just knocked out.
Oh, this is that one. Okay. Yeah. It's pretty good overall. You could play it with the clean hit. Your strong energy, fighting energy, whatever, hit big numbers, 150 HP yourself, you're tanky. Play it with counter energy, you're probably going to fall behind, you're a stage 2 deck. Wild Bomber comes in, just kills basic Pokemon for 2 energy. So yeah, I think he's pretty good overall. It's still a stage 2 deck, so how consistent will it actually be? That'll have to tell.
Yeah. Definitely interesting. Now we've got a Lucario here. The Riolu detect, flip a coin if heads, prevent all effects of attacks, including damage done to this Pokemon during your next turn. So that's worth mentioning. It does have 70 HP as well. And then Lucario here, fighting 110 HP. The ability Aura Sight. Once during your turn, before you attack, if you have a Garchomp in play, you may search your deck for 1 card and put it into your hand. Then shuffle your deck. And then we have Scud Jab for a fighting colorless. 70 damage, not affected by resistance.
So the detect is actually very good for a basic Pokemon, and then Lucario, he really only works with Garchomp, which we will be getting to in a little bit.
Yep, we can talk about this guy more when we get to Garchomp. And we'll move on to Hippowdon here. Nothing to reading real fast say about maybe I should read it. Never mind. Fighting colorless last ditch tackle. 50+. If you have 3 or fewer cards left in your deck, this attack does 130 more damage.
Oh my gosh. So he's better than the Hippowdon.
And then the Hippowdon here, fighting colorless, 50 damage, defeating Pokemon can't retreat during your opponent's next turn. And then 2 fighting, 2 colorless, 100 damage, does 10 more damage for each energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon's, or each energy in your opponent's active Pokemon's retreat cost. There we go.
Yeah. So the Hippopotas is actually cool as like a tech card. I don't know where. Oh, okay. Hold up. I actually kind of like him in a Zoroark deck, like a Zoroark Lycanroc actually.
Ooh, you trade down to a low deck size.
Yeah. Plus choice band, you're hitting the 210. He already one shots. Oh no, he just kills anything with 180. 210 on like a Golisopod or something. Oh, okay, I like this guy. He's interesting.
90 HP as well. He's, you know, a little bigger than most basic Pokemon.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting card art too. I don't know if you've looked at it yet.
Yeah, I just looked it up.
But yeah, so maybe something to look at. It's pretty interesting. Funny, like whenever there's a basic that is like, oh, this basic's good, but the evolution kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's been something like that recently. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
I feel like that is just like almost even recent as to just this set.
Yeah.
Almost.
There's been several basic Pokemon that are like, oh, that's interesting, but the evolution,
It's not very good, yeah.
All right, we'll move on to Passimian here. I think this card's pretty interesting as well. We've got the ability Power Scrum. As long as this Pokemon is on your bench, each of your Passimian's attack does 30 more damage to your opponent's evolved Pokemon. And then Rock Hurl, 40 damage, not affected by resistance. Not going to be using that. This obviously would synergize well with the Sun and Moon base set Passimian that does 10 plus 30 more for each of your Passimian in play. So boosting the damage of that guy. But then it's like awkward because you're running a split of your Passimians and... you know, you gotta like make sure you have the attacking one available to you at any time. So I don't know. What do you think of this guy?
Yeah, I think he actually has potential. Passimian has way more potential now. Just doing the math. Yeah, because of this card. Just doing the math in my head, I actually think you could play it as a 3/1 and just one of the other Passimian.
Okay.
And then play a heavy, 4 Rescue Stretcher, heavy Octillery, and you just look to get it back every turn and then swing with it again. I think that actually could have potential to work because you're hitting all the numbers pretty much.
Yeah.
As far as I can think of off the top of my head.
3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. Yeah. You don't even need to play Mew at that point to get the Psychic weakness, but you definitely could. Passimian won't boost Mew because it only boosts Passimian's attacks, but you can still copy Team Play to knock out Buzzwoles and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe something to keep your eye on. We'll move on to the dark types. We've got Murkrow and Honchkrow. Murkrow, Mean Look, 10 damage. Defending Pokemon can't retreat during your opponent's next turn. And then Snatch turn. Discard a random card from your opponent's hand. Switch this Pokemon with one of your benched Pokemon. Interesting. And then Dark, Colorless, and 98 damage. I think that first attack's kind of interesting, but I don't think it's very good.
Yeah, not too much going on with the Honchkrow.
All right, we'll move on to the Weavile. We've got the Sneasel, 70 HP, Stealthy Smash for colorless. You can use this attack only if you go second and on your first turn, discard an energy from one of your opponent's Pokemon. So that's kind of an interesting little. That's a lot of text to go to an attack that doesn't do any damage, but. And then Ambush 10, flip a coin if heads does 20 more. And then we've got Weavile. Icy Wind, 10 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep. And then for a Dark Energy, Dark Command, 50 times the number of Pokemon number of your opponent's Pokemon with abilities.
Yeah, I mean the Weavile is actually pretty interesting. You can use him and the other Weavile, and you can do some cute stuff overall with just damage spread, and then he can start cleaning up. So I think he has potential. Low HP still, and weak to fighting, especially with the Sneasel. Easily one shot by like a Buzzwole or something is not great, but definitely has potential.
It at least forces them to have like it can't just do basic fighting knockout on the Sneasel. They'd have to have the like a Regirock or like a Fury Belt.
Strong
or
energy.
Like
Yeah,
or strong, right? Okay, we'll move on to a Skuntank. We've got Stunky, Destiny Gas, 10 damage. Both active Pokemon are now confused, and then Skuntank. Sticky Smokescreen for a dark and colorless, 50. If the defending Pokemon tries to attack during your opponent's next turn, they flip 2 coins. If either is heads, that attack does nothing. And then hammer in 100 damage for a dark colorless. The first attack is interesting, but they can always just like retreat and then like attack with something else.
I think it's just interesting. I think that's about the extent of it there.
Yeah. On to another Prism Star. We've got Darkrai, 160 HP, with the ability Nightmare Star, really similar to Giratina. When you place Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you may attach 2 Dark Energy from your hand to this Pokemon. And then Abyssal Sleep, 120 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep. Your opponent flips 2 coins instead of 1 between turns. If either of them is tails, that Pokemon is still asleep. As someone who's played a lot of Turbo Darkrai in their time, do you get excited seeing a card like this?
I think it has potential actually, and with him, I know the Prism rule. If they get this card or whatever, you can't reuse them. But like you can Ninja Boy him back into your deck and then try and use Nightmare again. Maybe just the 1 use is enough. It might be enough to bring Turbo Dark back. Turbo Dark is actually not terrible. It just kind of quite doesn't get there with the damage. Is that its current problem? That and there's a lot of fighting Pokemon in the current format. But this might be enough to get it back into the meta to be a viable contender.
Man, I think Turbo Dark's just always struggled since Field Blower got printed. Like pre Field Blower, the deck is like super strong, but ever since Field Blower came out, it's just like really tough for that deck to get there with the numbers later on in the game.
It's true, yeah. Field Blower hurts.
All right, we'll move on to the metal Pokemon. Finally, we've got Alolan Diglett here. Iron Head, flip a coin. Until you get tails, it does 10 damage times the number of heads. This man's gonna put in work. Get your red Fennekin coins, guys, and we'll see what happens. And then we've got Alolan Dugtrio. I actually really like this card. Gold Rush for free. Doesn't cost any energy. Discard as many metal energy from your hand as you like. It does 30 damage for each energy discarded in this way. So there's like, you discard with the Choice Band, you discard 5 energies, that's 180. Discard 6 energies, that's 210. So it gets you there with the numbers. You can play Professor's Letter. You can play energy retrievals. You can even play something like Starmie. You've got Mount Coronet in the set that we'll talk about. I don't know. What do you think of Alolan Dugtrio?
Yeah, I think it has potential. I think there might be too many moving parts to get him going to actually get to the big numbers of where he's one-shot. I think the super fragile at 60 HP, talking Buzzwole with a strong and a Regirock.
He's never going to live, that's for sure.
Yeah, Buzzwole with a strong and a Regirock. The one nice thing about him is that Lele doesn't one-shot him for a DCE because you don't attach your own energy to him.
Yeah.
So not every deck is super easily dealing with him. He's got potential. You play like 4-4 him, 4-4 Starmie line or something, and then Mount Coronet, of course, is actually, I think, what really gives it potential. The only thing that gives it potential is the Mount Coronet. So we'll see. He might get there.
And we'll move on to the Magneton line. It's something people have been talking about a lot. 2 different Magnemites here, both of them pretty useful actually, but we'll read both. They both have, I believe, let me double check since it was wrong last time. Yes, they do both have 60 HP. The first one here, Magnetic Search. Search your deck for up to 3 metal energy cards, reveal them, put them in your hand, then shuffle your deck, and then tackle for 10. And the other one has Hard Unit. If this Pokemon is on your bench, it takes no damage from attacks. Then we've got Magneton, Ram for 20, and Zap Cannon for Metal Colorless, 80 damage, can't use Zap Cannon during the next turn. And then Magnezone has the Magnetic Circuit ability. As often as you like during your turn before you attack, attach a metal energy card from your hand to one of your Pokemon. And then Zap Cannon, and we're not going to talk about because it's not really useful. Magnezone, what you think?
A lot of people love him, or a lot of hype around him, with maybe the most hyped deck, like, not card, but like there's already like a way you play this card just based on the other cards that are coming down the set. I think Mount Coronet is the thing that really gives it potential, because late game, you get End. You still got to find metal energy to put on your Pokemon, but Mount Coronet, if it sticks, they also need Field Blower or Counter Stadium, so there's more pieces they need to stop you from being able to just power up a new attacker and just swing again. I think it has potential. I don't think it's broken or overpowered by any means, but it's definitely a good card. Rain Dance Blastoise has always been good whenever it's been viable. We do have a Magnezone that does it for lightning energy, and it hasn't really seen tier 1 play. It's kind of Magnezone Raichu, I guess, is the most popular or the most successful deck that it's seen, and it's not great, obviously, but I think it has potential. I'm not blown away by it, but we could see some good stuff out of it for sure.
Yeah, anytime there's something that lets you break the rules of the game, such as attaching multiple energies, it's worth looking at. Similar to Paralysis, and I've got a special spot in my heart right now for Magnezone since just played him at a regionals, even though it didn't really work out right for me, but we won't talk about that. Moving on to a Bastiodon, and Shieldon once again evolves from Mysterious Fossil. 100 HP on this guy, but he has a stage. I always think these guys are basics, but they're stage 1s. Take down 50 damage, 10 to itself, and then Bastiodon has the ability Earth Shield. Prevent all damage done to your metal Pokemon from the attacks of your opponent's Pokemon with any special energy attached to them. So special energy being very popular. Could maybe see something like that being decent. And then push down, 110 damage. You may have your opponent switch their active Pokemon with one of their benched Pokemon. So don't think the attack's very good. If anything, the ability is kind of neat.
Yeah, I could see it going as far as the ability as you play in like a 101 line of this in a Magnezone deck.
Yeah.
If only oh well, I guess it's with the Mystery Fossil, it makes it awkward.
Yeah, you can't put down Mystery Fossil.
Yeah, so you have to find your Mystery Fossil, but still they would have to go after it.
You can't even Ultra Ball your Mystery Fossil. Ultra Ball to get your Mystery Fossil.
You have to draw into it, right? You have to, yeah. So, but even then, though, once you bench the Mystery Fossil, your opponent pretty much has to go kill it. They can't they can't go if they go kill anything else, and you just have the candy Bastiodon, maybe they just lose the game then. So
yeah, they're never going to be able to kill a Bastiodon.
Yeah, you could even fake them out and literally just play the one of also and
just
make them
mind games. That's pretty funny. So interesting ability for sure. Bronzong here. Hypnosis on the Bronzor, your opponent's active Pokemon is now asleep. And then Bronzong, Psybolt, 20 damage flip a coin if heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. And Psychic Resonance, 60 plus if your opponent has any Psychic Pokemon in play, does 60 more damage. Not much going on.
Not much, nope.
Yep. We got Heatran here, 130 HP basic. Guard Press for Metal Colorless, 30 damage. Any damage done to this Pokemon by attacks during your opponent's next turn is reduced by 30. And then Boiler Impact, 130. Discard 2 energy from this Pokemon.
Not much. I mean, a little bit going on. He's good. He's like a good one prize attacker for metal decks, maybe.
Yeah, but he doesn't really get there with the numbers though. Like Choice Band, you get 160, and the Dawn Wings Necrozma that we're going to be talking about just one shots everything. So or Dusk Mane. So why would you want to power this guy up when you can just one shot something? So we've got Sigalio's Star, Prism Star. I'm going to keep calling them Star cards, but they are Prism Star cards with the metal, for a metal energy, Rising Star. For each of your opponent's Pokemon in play, attach a metal from your discard pile to your Pokemon in any way that you like. And Corona Impact 160. This Pokemon can't attack during your next turn. I think this guy's pretty decent, actually.
Yeah, it's got some good late game potential with the Rising Star for sure.
Yeah, in the Magnezone deck, of course.
Yeah, Magnezone, or I don't know, even like maybe a Metagross or something. If Metagross sticks around for any reason after Magnezone comes out.
Yeah, your favorite deck, right? Metagross.
Yeah, my favorite. I love it. It's so good.
And then we'll move on to Duskmane Necrozma. Obviously going to have that synergy with the Magnezone. Claw Slash for 3 colorless does 60. Sorry, this guy does have 190 HP. And then we've got Meteor Tempest for 3 metal and 1 colorless. 220 damage. Discard 3 energy from this Pokemon. And Sun's Eclipse GX for 3 metal, 250. You can use this attack only if you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent. Can't use more 1 GX attack per game.
Yeah, he's definitely the perfect guy to combo with Magnezone. We're looking at pretty much a recreation of Blastoise, Black Ballistic Kyurem, where Black Ballistic Kyurem did 200 damage for, was it 3 water and a lightning, or 2 water, lightning, and a colorless. Did 200 damage, which back then one-shot anything. 220 pretty much one-shots anything. You know, if you want a Choice Band to get a little bit higher to kill stuff like Gardevoirs, you can. GX attack, if you're behind, you pretty much one-shot anything.
You do actually already one-shot Gardevoirs since they are weak to metal.
Oh, they are weak to metal. Okay, so you already one-shot them. If you want to kill, I can't even think of a card that you would need to reach. I guess armor pressing. Gliscopod, that armor press. There's a couple things, I guess. So Galio.
The 250 HP things.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just obvious synergy. One-shots everything. You know, just you have to set up your Magnezone. That's kind of where we'll see if it can actually pull it off consistently or not.
The Blastoise deck that was so good with Black Kyurem back in the day had access to Tropical Beach to get set up, and without Tropical Beach, it's going to be a little more clunky, a little harder to get there. So, I don't know, just something to throw out there. And we've got Magearna. I was watching one of your streams recently where I think you were like pretty hype on this card, so I'll let you talk about it once we read over it. The Redress ability, once during your turn before you attack, you may return a Pokemon Tool card attached to one of your Pokemon to your hand. Ball attack, 60 damage. Not really here for the attack. The ability, interesting. Thoughts on Redress Magearna? Yeah,
I think it's super good. The ability is like super good overall. There used to be a Stage 1, Masquerain. It could move, you do it multiple times a turn. But it was a Stage 1, so it was like super awkward. But it's just a basic Pokemon. Obvious synergy with Silvally. You can let the Magearna hold the tool while you Sycamore or play End, and then you put it back in your hand afterwards. You don't want it to get Field Blowered away, so you get to save it for later. Could just work really well in other decks too. You could even play this in something like a Zoroark deck. It could hold a Choice Band, and then you play your End, you play your Sycamore, whatever. Put it back in your hand afterwards. I don't know. It's just sitting there holding tools is very nice. You can hold a Float Stone. So stuff that can happen like, you keep a Float Stone on him in late game, even if your opponent ends you. No matter what, you can always get the Float Stone back and move your active after the end. I think it has a lot of potential to be used in a couple decks for sure. Definitely in Silvally. I think if you play a Silvally deck and you play the tools for Silvally, this card should be in there for sure.
Could also see maybe like if you ever tried to bring back a Mega Evolution deck, like using this guy to keep hold of Spirit Links could be useful as well. So something to think about there. And we'll move on to Morlul. On to the fairy types. We've got Morlul and Shiinotic. This is the same card as the grass type from Sun and Moon base set. So I'll just read the Shiinotic here. The ability Illuminate. Once during your turn before you attack, you may search your deck for a fairy Pokemon, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. This already exists for a grass type, and I remember when the card came out, everyone was like really hype on it, like being so good with Decidueye, but then it never got played, so I haven't heard any hype about this card, so I'd be even more surprised if it ever got played.
You'd instead of going to find Shiinotic, you'd rather go find, like a Rowlet or a Decidueye or whatever. It's just kind of like too slow, not super efficient, and bench space is super it's super. What is the word I want to use? It's super. God, I'm blanking here.
Like precious, like it's...
yeah. Bench space is super precious. I guess is the word to use right there. It's like you don't want to waste it on a Shiinotic for sure.
All right, we'll move on to Tapu Lele here. Definitely a hyped up card with that magical swap attack for a fairy and a colorless. Move any number of damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon to their other Pokemon in any way that you like. Obviously not the psychic type one that is probably never going to get released, but we do have the fairy type one here. What do you think about this guy as a fairy type?
I think it still has potential. It's not the psychic type one. Obviously, the psychic type one might be too good, and maybe it should just not come out ever. But this one, I think, has potential. It has like a cost for the attack that is like makes it harder to get out, harder to use successfully. So I think it's potential. I think there's like you could do something like a Gardevoir Coco Necrozma deck. You use Gardevoir to power up Necrozma as well as this Tapu Lele. And you have Coco just swinging for DCEs.
Interesting.
So some kind of deck like that, I think, could have potential. You could also just come up with some full spread deck, counter energy to use magical swap at the end of the game. So it has potential. We'll see where it goes. We also have Spiritomb right now. Spiritomb is not as flexible because it can't move a damage off the active. So this is like a little bit better for sure. We'll
but
see.
Like the Spiritomb's literally never seen play, like hardly, like very fringely seen play, and it's basically the same thing. Like I know this is better, but it's like basically the same thing. So I don't really see like the thing that makes this slightly better isn't enough to put it over the edge in my eyes as being very good. I don't think this card is going to be that great.
Yeah.
All right, we've got Alolan Exeggutor, so all the way back, remembering to that Execute we talked about at the very beginning. Here's his evolution here, finally, 130 HP for free, no energy cost here. Exeggutor Paradise. For each Execute on your bench, search your deck for an Alolan Exeggutor or Alolan Exeggutor GX and put it onto that Execute. And then Draco Meteor for a grass and 2 colorless, 80 damage, flip a coin for each grass energy attached to this Pokemon. This attack does 80 damage for each heads.
Yeah, not much going on with him. You could play him with like, I think his best partner would be like a Venusaur or something.
Yeah. Even still, probably not going to be very good there, unfortunately.
Yeah. No.
He's just cursed to be the Pokemon of the Sun and Moon era that's super derpy and never very good.
Yeah.
On to Garchomp here, very hyped up card as well. We've got 2 different Gibbles, 50 HP on the first one, and Ascension. Search your deck for a card that evolves from this Pokemon, put it on that Pokemon. And then we've also got the other Gibble for 60 HP. Hide in the Rocks is the ability. If this Pokemon has any fighting energy attached to it, its retreat cost is 0. We've got Gabite here, 80 HP, Ascension. Search your deck for a Pokemon that evolves. You know the drill. And then we have Garchomp, 150 HP, Dragon type. Has for 2 colorless, quick dive, 50 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon, and then Champion's Blade for a fighting, 2 colorless, 100 damage. If you played Cynthia from your hand during this turn, this attack does 100 more damage.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously has the synergy with Cynthia and then Lucario as well, with all the cards naming the other ones. I think it has potential. The energy cost is kind of awkward. The DCE plus fighting. So it might be a little too much, on top of that being a stage 2, and then having to play Cynthia every turn to actually get the effectiveness out of it. But another card that we'll look at a little bit is Palpad, which will allow us to get more Cynthias back constantly. So I don't know, we'll see. It might get there, but I'm hesitant to call it a tier 1 deck.
And
or anything of the sort.
do you know about the other Garchomp as well?
What is that
one,
for?
you remember the breakpoint? It does for a fighting 60
energy,
damage, attach an energy from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon. So you can get DCEs back.
Oh, you can get DCEs, okay.
Yep, and it's 50, or it does 60 damage. So if you play Strong plus Choice Band, you're knocking out the Fighting Weak Stage 1s out there. So I think that's something interesting worth noting, that since this card exists, but at the same time, you have to play Strong Energy. Can't throw your Strong Energy down onto the other Garchomp.
Yeah.
This card did get released in Japan as a fighting type, so once we get that one, maybe you could see that being a little better. But
oh yeah, for sure, I think so. Oh, it did, really interesting. Okay.
yeah, they've done that a lot. Like the Empoleon got released as a metal Pokemon in Japan, as where it's a water type here. So it'll I think eventually come to us as both types, sort of like what we see with the Shiinotic in this set.
Okay. Yeah, hopefully.
We've got AzulGG. I think this is probably one of my favorite cards in this set, just because of that GX attack. It is very expensive, but just a really neat effect. So, clock up for a metal. Draw cards till you have 6 in your hand. Pretty useful, I guess. And then shred 80 damage for a metal, colorless. This attack's damage isn't affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. And then Timeless GX for 3 metal, 2 colorless, 150 damage. Once this turn is over, it is your turn again. You can't use more than 1 GX attack in a game. So being able to steal a turn from your opponent and attacking twice in a row, this obviously fits well into that Magnezone, Duskmane, Necrozma deck. But once again, I think the viability of this card relies on how good that deck actually ends up becoming.
Yeah, I mean, you don't hit... I mean, you can kill like a Lele with the Timeless, but you don't hit... You need a lot to go in your favor to make that happen. Like, you need the Guzma, the Choice Band, 5 energy, most likely 5 metal energy.
Yeah.
And then from there, you need to then follow up and be able to, like, most likely attack with a Necrozma Duskmane. So, if the Necrozma deck might be good enough, or this deck might not quite be good enough, it might be too clunky to fit into the Necrozma deck. If the Necrozma deck can already work anyways, Necrozma Magnezone. So it might be good, but it might just be too much to get the Timeless GX off consistently.
Sure. Okay, and we'll move on. 2 GXs in a row here. Unfortunately, this one is a good bit worse. We've got Palkia GX, 180 HP, Water, Energy, Spatial Control. Move any number of energy cards from your bench Pokemon to this Pokemon. Hydro Pressure 60 plus. This does 20 more for each water energy attached to this Pokemon. And Zero Vanish. We've got 150 damage. Your opponent shuffles all energy attached to their Pokemon into their deck. Can't use more than 1 GX attack per game.
Yep. Not great. There's no real good way to charge up to Zero Vanish. Sure, you have your first attack, but attacks like that have never been good in the Pokemon trading card game as far as I know. Taking a turn to do that means they just get to hit you for free. And then most likely 2-shot you, maybe even 1-shot you. So with no efficient way to charge him up, Zero Vanish would actually be good if you get to charge him up efficiently, but there really isn't any way to do that.
it could fit into a Blastoise and expand it, because it does require waters, but...
something like that, but nothing in like a standard
format. I think this is like probably one of the only GXs in the set that's like not like, oh, I can see a use for this card immediately.
Yeah.
But we'll move on to colorless type Pokemon. Coming down to the wire, after this we'll have the trainers and we'll get to finish this up. And alright, we've got Licky Tongue here. Lap up for 2 colorless, draw 3 cards. Slam, flip 2 coins, 50 damage times the number of heads. And then Licky, 130 HP. For 3 colorless, you have Lick to Death, 50 plus, flip a coin until you get tails, does 50 damage for each heads. If the first coin flip is tails, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. So that's kind of interesting. Instant paralysis once again. And then Rolling Tackle, 110 damage for 4 colorless.
Yeah, interesting, but not. I don't think there's quite enough going on for him.
Yeah, you'd have to play something like honestly, I don't know, like you could play like Victini, but which would you rather do? Would you rather flip a bunch of heads and do a ton of damage, or would you rather paralyze your opponent every single turn? So
I mean, depending on the situation, you get the choice pretty much.
So that's interesting. We do have 2 EVs in the sets, neither of which are going to be played because Energy Evolution EV is in the format and is strictly better, but we have Gnaw for 20 and then the other one for 2 colorless. Friend's Palette, 10 damage for each different type of Pokemon on your bench. Moving along, we've got a Baneri and a Lopunny. Spineless is the Baneri's attack. If the defending Pokemon tries to attack during your opponent's next turn, they flip a coin. If tails, it does nothing. And then Lopunny, need, flip 2 coins, 40 for each heads, and then Happy Turn, 60 damage. You may shuffle this Pokemon and all cards attached to it into your deck.
Not much going on there. If it had more HP, Happy Turn might be decent for some means, but with only 90 HP, it's getting knocked out anyways.
We've got Glameow and Per Ugly. 10 damage during your opponent's next turn. Defending Pokemon's attacks do 40 less damage. And then Per Ugly has Master of the House for a colorless 20 damage. Discard your opponent's stadium in play. If you do, prevent all effects of attacks, including damage done to this Pokemon during your opponent's next turn. And then cast aside 3 colorless. Discard random cards from your opponent's hand until there are 3 cards remaining. I think that second attack is pretty neat, but it does cost 3 colorless, which makes it a lot worse.
Costs a little too many. Costs a little too much.
And it's a stage 1 as well.
Yeah.
Like, this card might be decent if it was a basic, but being a stage 1 makes it tough. The Master of the House is also different to, like, buy turn, or interesting to buy turns, but your opponent can, of course, play around it by just not putting a stadium in play.
Yeah.
And finally, finishing up the Rotoms, we've got Fan Rotom here, Rotomotor ability once again, and then Spinning Spin. This attack does 20 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon. Don't apply weakness and resistance. No retreat, so anytime there's a basic Pokemon that doesn't have any retreat cost, I guess that's kind of worth looking at, but Tapu Koko is probably just strictly better than this guy for that purpose, at least, since it does have 40 more HP. But, yeah. We'll move on. We've got a Shaman here with Call for Family, search your deck for 2 basic Pokemon, put them on your bench, then shuffle your deck, and then Glide for 20 damage. I think anytime there's a Call for Family Pokemon in the format, it's like kind of cool to like know which ones they are in case you ever want to use it, but at the time of recording this, there's really no reason to use this.
Yeah.
Bridget does it better. And then we've got Gumshoe's Yungoos, Mr. President himself. Scout, your opponent reveals their hand, so that's useful. You know, anytime you know what your opponent's got going on, that's useful, but you're using it as your attack, so it doesn't really matter what they have in their hand because they're going to do it anyway. You can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And then on the Gumshoes, we've got Track Down, 20 plus, your opponent reveals their hand. If there are any Pokemon there, it does 80 more damage, so 100 damage for a DCE, 130 if there's Pokemon in their hand. And then Knockover, 70 damage. Thumbs up, thumbs down?
Thumbs down for sure. Not much going on with the Gumshoes. Yeah.
Onto a Rangaroo, we've got Resource Management. Put 3 cards from your discard pile on the bottom of your deck in any order that you'd like. And then Erudition, I think. 60 damage, your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused. This is obviously, like, the only thing going for this card would be that first attack. And I could see this being used in some sort of lock deck. And we'll talk about Looker's Investigation or something like that. I think the card is called... Oh, wait, no, that's the old Lookers. I think this one is just called Looker.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
But we'll talk about that in a minute. But I think this could be useful in some sort of, like, disruption control deck.
Yeah, I think it has potential. With Looker plus getting, like, 3 Crushing Hammer back, Looker, draw 3 from the bottom, whatever.
Yeah.
It could be good.
And we've got Type Null and Savali GX. Savali GX, same thing as the one in the last set. Gyro Unit, basic Pokemon in play of 0 Retreat. Turbo Drive 120, attach a basic. And Rebellion GX, 50 times the number of your opponent's benched Pokemon. And then Type Null has Ruthless Blow, 30 damage. It does 30 more damage if your opponent's active Pokemon has any damage counters on it. And Headbang for 70 damage. So we already know what this card does. The Type Null is different, though, and I think this one is actually better than the other one currently.
Yeah. Yeah, it's close. I think it's close.
Because, you know, this one, like, can actually do something. Like, doing 60 for a DCE is going to clean up a lot of the 2-hit KO numbers that we have running around.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess it has. This one's probably a little bit better.
And we'll move on to a Drampa here. Azul just got done top 8ing a regionals with the Drampa card, so we'll have to see what he thinks of this one. 130 damage, Outrage, 20 plus, 20 more, 20 plus 10 more for each damage counter on this Pokemon. And Dragon Pulse, 110 damage, or excuse me, 100 damage. Discard 2 cards from the top of your deck.
Not great. Doesn't have quite enough HP to make the Outrage super effective, so it's easy to play around. And then the second attack Even if they avoid attacking you and you're like, oh, but I'm going to Dragon Pulse you, you're discarding 2 cards from the top of your deck, which does not sound great at all. No.
All right, and we made it through the Pokemon onto the trainers, and the end is in sight. We're almost done. We're an hour and a half in. Oh my goodness. We're trucking through. We're going to make it happen. So, Ancient Crystal here. This is a Pokemon tool card. If the Pokemon this card is attached to is Regirock, Regice, Registeel, or Regigigas, your opponent's attacks do 30 less damage to this Pokemon. None of those cards are very good right now.
Yeah, the only thing I could see, the Regigigas has 180 HP, so I could see some kind of quad Regigigas deck come out.
Yeah, but even then, wouldn't just Fighting Fury Belt be better?
But you can get multiple. So if they hit you twice, that's 60 less damage, whereas Fighting Fury Belt is just plus 40 HP. So
sure,
technically you're getting more value out of this.
That's a good point.
So it would depend. It would depend on what you're trying to beat with it. So I think that potentially could work. Probably not going to be very good, but you never know.
You heard it here first, guys. Look out for it in St. Louis from Azul. We got Quad Regigigas, Quad Ancient Crystal coming out from Team CCG Castle.
Yeah, look out.
Look out, guys. All right, on to Cynthia, supporter here. Shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw 6 cards. Lots of people are really excited about this card. Anyone who played in the Heart Gold Soul Silver era definitely remembers Professor Oak's New Theory, which was very played, very good card. And, you know, Cynthia's definitely seems really good to me.
Yeah, going to be great. I'm glad we're getting another consistent, efficient draw supporter. That'll be great to have.
Yeah, this is going to be great for those, I think, decks like Buzzwole Garbiter and Galissapod Garbiter, just adding like another draw supporter to those decks that have like clunky late games. It just kind of cleans up that clunkiness and makes them a lot better.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Then we've got Cyrus Prism Star supporter card as a Prism Star card. First time we've ever seen them. Well, I shouldn't say that. I was gonna say first time we've ever seen them limit a trainer to 1 in a deck, but we did have A-Specs. But yeah. Anyway. This card can only be used if your active Pokemon is water or metal. Your opponent chooses 2 of their benched Pokemon, then shuffles the other benched Pokemon and all cards attached to them into your deck.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be good. It was better when I initially thought it was I choose 2 Pokemon, not choose 2 benched. So I thought it was quite a bit better than it actually was.
That would be pretty crazy.
It's still good. I don't think it's like game breaking by any means. It is a Prism, you can only use it once. So I think it's good. But thankfully it's not game breaking. I think that's what I want to say. Is like thankfully it's not a game breaking card, but it has potential to be very disruptive, and I think it'll be played for sure.
All right, we've got Electric Memory and Fire Memories down below, so we'll just do them all together. Electric Memory makes your Savali GX a Lightning type, and Fire Memory makes it a Fire type.
Lightning's pretty much useless, but there's Metal Hype coming out right now, so the Fire one's pretty cool. Plus, we get the Magearna, which we mentioned earlier, which combos really well with the tools for Savali. So I think so we could see Savali come back with this new set. Savali does kind of need, from what we've seen so far, a pretty known meta, or I don't know what the right word I'm looking for here is, but like you know what you're playing against, so you know the types that you need to change Savali to, and Savali Metal has been the most popular version of it, but you could see something else like Savali Fighting or something.
Yeah.
So you need to know what you're playing against, so you know what you need to play with Savali, and then Savali can be effective.
Sure. And then we've got Escape Board here, a Pokemon tool card. The retreat cost of the Pokemon this tool is attached to is colorless less. The Pokemon may retreat while asleep or paralyzed. I think this card is really, really neat. If your deck is playing Floatstone and you play nothing but Pokemon with 1 retreat, this is strictly better than Floatstone, since you can retreat under paralysis and being asleep, but I don't think there's really a deck right now that fits that, and I don't know. A skateboard seems really good to me.
Yeah, it'll be, very specific for very specific matchups. You might play 1 or 2, but like until that shows up, you're not gonna play the card.
Yeah. We've got Gardenia here, that supporter we talked about at the very beginning of the video. Heal 80 damage from one of your Pokemon with any grass energy attached to it.
Yeah, so I actually think this card could be really good with a Decidueye deck, because Decidueye decks, they have infinite damage if they're not being ability locked, so they just need to buy time. Healing your Pokemon, if you're not getting one-shot, buys time. Leafeon's heal buys time. All the heal combined buys time. If you get 1 or 2 turns extra, that's you have 3 Decidueyes out. That's 6 Decidueye Feather Arrows total, 120 damage. That they pretty much ignored everything they did for 2 turns, and you got 120 damage out of it. So I think it has potential in a deck like that. I don't know what else really plays Grass Ranger. Maybe a Galissapod deck as well. There could be something with Galissapod. But besides that, I mean, obviously not much because they need Grass Energy. But yeah, definitely has potential to like take over like Acerola or Max Potion in decks like that.
All right, we've got Lily here, supporter. Reprint, draw cards till you have 6 in your hand. If it's your first turn, you draw till you have 8 in your hand. Don't really need to say much about that card because we have already had it for, almost a year now. Then we've got Looker, draw 3 cards from the bottom of your deck. So obvious supporter there that combos well with a Rangaroo. And I'll also mention Looker's Whistle. Trainer card, search your deck for up to 2 Looker cards, reveal them and put them in your hand. Shuffle your deck afterwards. Thoughts on the Looker engine here?
I assume they're going to make more Looker cards, or if not, Looker Whistle and Looker, I mean, you're always drawing 3 from the bottom of your deck, like, consistently. The combo pretty much sets up for that. You can go for a Whistle, for Looker and Whistle, play the Whistle, get another Looker and a Whistle. I think it could there could be some kind of lock deck with a Rangaroo because of Looker, because you can constantly get back to 3 resources.
I don't think
on the bottom of your deck.
The way I understand it, I don't think that you can use Looker's Whistle to find a Looker's Whistle.
Oh, it literally has to find the Looker supporter card.
That's the way I read it.
Oh, for 2 Well, it said Looker cards, so maybe I thought it was... Yeah, but that makes way more sense than what I was saying. Yeah. So if you just have to get this... it's not good, then... Okay, with the Rangaroo deck, it has potential still, I guess.
You just have to make sure you use Looker... Like, you don't use Looker's Whistle and then try to Looker for the 3 cards you just put on the bottom because you'll have shuffled your deck.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
We'll see.
Interesting.
Yeah. Interesting.
We've got I feel like we've said interesting and potential an absurd amount of times in this video. But we've got Mars here, support a card, draw 2 cards, then discard a random card from your opponent's hand. So maybe a little bit of disruption. I think this could fit in okay, and maybe some of the like wishy-washy hoopa, like big basic stally decks in standard.
Yeah.
But if you're using this card, that means you're not using something like Flare Grunt or Acerola that turn.
Yeah. So. Probably not great right now. Maybe eventually with some kind of lock deck where another Pokemon comes out that discards cards from your opponent's hand. You can combo that with a red card or something.
All right, then we've got Missing Clover here. You may play either 1 Missing Clover or 4 Missing Clover at the same time. If you play 1, look at the top card of your deck, return it. Look at the top card of your deck, then return it to the top of your deck. If you play 4 Missing Clover at the same time, take a prize card. So getting all 4 of these guys in your hand, getting a free prize seems decent, but I don't think you're ever going to get all 4 of them in your hand. And if you ever prize one, it's just like 3 dead cards in your deck.
Yeah, I think it's possible this works in a Zoroark deck, but I think besides that, it has no other partner right now. But if you could fit him in a Zoroark deck and still make the Zoroark deck work, it's possible it works.
Like, I know I have a hard enough time keeping it at 60 cards, and by playing this card, you're basically saying I'm going to play a 59 or 56 card deck. So,
yeah,
it is, as we have said so many times, interesting.
Very interesting. I'm glad they made it a card because it is interesting. But even if it doesn't work, it's still interesting.
We'll move on to Mount Cornet. We've talked about this card a couple times. Very good. Once during your turn, or during each player's turn, that player may put 2 Metal Energy cards from their discard pile into their hand.
It's actually ridiculous. It's literally an energy retrieval that you have the potential to use every turn for the rest of the game. It's like, I don't know. It's the only thing that gives Metal decks I think it's the one card that gives Metal decks a lot of potential going into this new set. I think the card is actually ridiculous. Like I just said, there's a card energy retrieval that you play as a trainer once during your turn to get 2 basic energy. Yeah. This thing for Metal decks, you can do it every turn if it stays in play. So yeah,
seems good. We've got Order Pad here. Item, flip a coin of heads, search your deck for an item card, reveal it, and put it in your hand. Shuffle your deck.
Not great.
Yeah, I think that this would only fit in an Archie's or Maxie's deck and expanded.
Yeah, it's good and expanded. Standard, not great.
You can just always burn it out of your hand to help you with Archie's or Maxie's.
Yeah.
We've got Pal Pad here. Shuffle 2 supporter cards from your discard pile into your deck. So Azul has actually won a regionals with a deck that played Pal Pad. So maybe it holds a little special place in his heart. Thoughts on Pal Pad being back in standard?
I'm glad we have something to get because Cynthia helps with this as well, being able to shuffle our hand instead of discard it all with Sycamore and drawing a decent amount of cards to actually do something efficient with our turn. And then Palpad can kind of clean up still when we have to Ultra Ball or Sycamore away important resources or important supporters to close out games. I think almost every deck will probably play one Palpad because it also gives you a lot of lenience in how you can play out your early turns if you know what's in your deck and it's not prized. So I think we'll see probably one Palpad in every deck. Some decks will play more, and we'll just see how it works. I'm kind of scared of Zoroark Golisopod using... I don't even know how many Acerola they could use now. Like, I don't want to know. Yeah. They could use a lot of Acerolas, though.
That is very true. Yeah, this is already like kind of a stolid two-shot format, and this doesn't help that issue.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily like that's better than just like nuking stuff with the Zoroark and expand it, I think.
Yeah, that is better. Especially because there are like, look at your like a Lycanroc Buzzwole that gets one shots off pretty frequently and stuff like that. Zoroark Lycanroc's more aggressive. Zoroark deck, sure, there's a lot of two-shotting going on, but they also take their one shots and are more aggressive about killing basic Pokemon and stuff.
All right, we've got Pokemon Fan Club, a reprint tier supporter. Search your deck for 2 basic Pokemon, reveal them, and put them into your hand. Then shuffle your deck. Not going to be something that's played right now, but in the future, once if we ever go to, or once I assume we eventually go to a Sun and Moon on formats, this could be the turn 1 supporter of choice for a lot of decks with Tapu Lele.
Yeah.
So there you go. We've got Unidentified Fossil. Play this as if it were a 60 HP. Colorless basic Pokemon. At any time during your turn before you attack, you may discard this card from play. This card can't retreat. So we already talked about this a little bit with the fossils here. I'll just ask you what... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
We're assuming this can evolve into the Rampardos and the...
The way I read it right now, I would assume yes.
Okay, because it said mystery fossil, but I don't know if there's already a mystery fossil in format.
There's
I don't
not.
think so.
I think that's
okay.
Just
okay, so this has
online,
to be it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So.
I mean, it's nice. It's unfortunate for the consistency wise that it is a trainer.
Hey,
but you can
use order pad to find it.
Yeah. But being able to discard it. Can you play this on your first turn?
Yes.
Okay.
You can't start it.
You can't. So that's what I meant to say. Can you start this? You can't, right?
You can't start it. Same as RoboSub.
I guess it's almost a good thing. Be able to discard it whenever you want is nice. So yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see if Rampardos is... I think it's just Rampardos. Is there another one that has potential?
The Bastiodon.
The Bastiodon. Okay, yeah. We'll see. If Rampardos is good, this could... I mean... yeah. If Rampardos is good.
We'll see.
We've
got Volkner here. Trainer card supporter. Search your deck for an item card and a lightning energy. Reveal them and put them into your hand. Then shuffle your deck.
There's just not... It's just a worse Karina, and there's not many item cards to search for, especially when you're looking for, like, I think the best combination with this card is actually to find missing clovers. But so yeah, I don't think this card has a lot of potential at all. I mean, maybe you could play it as like almost as a 5th puzzle, and you just don't use the effect of finding a lightning energy ever, probably. But you can use it as
at that point. Why wouldn't you just play a Skyla?
Yeah. I guess you're right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So I guess you'd have to play Lightning Energy to make it effective. It doesn't even work because we have Skyla. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We've got Super Boost Energy. Last Prism Star card, I believe we'll cover. This card provides colorless energy. While attached to a Stage 2 Pokemon, this card provides every type of energy, but only provides one at a time. While attached to a Stage 2 Pokemon, if you have 3 or more Stage 2 Pokemon in play, this card instead provides every type of energy, but only provides 4 energy at a time. I like how at the end they say, but only provides 4 energy at a time.
Yeah, provides only 4.
Only 4. So this card is obviously, pretty good in these Stage 2 decks, but a lot of the times, like when I played Gardevoir at the beginning of the season, I don't know that I very rarely had 3 Gardevoirs in play, I think.
Yeah, and then it's like once you had 3, weren't you winning the game anyways? So it's like, I think maybe the most win more card in like the last 3 or 4 sets, or maybe even more than that. It's like, once you have 3 Stage 2 Pokemon in play, if you're not winning the game, I don't think this will win you the game. So you're either already winning so hard it doesn't matter, or you're losing. You're still gonna lose so hard it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So this card is maybe an expanded. We could see something with like a Maxie's or Archie's deck where you can get Stage 2 Pokemon out really fast. But even then, I don't think so.
Well, it's still like 3 turns of getting stage 2 Pokemon in play, assuming none of them get knocked out.
Yeah, maybe once we get a more aggressive way to get stage 2 Pokemon out. I don't know. Like I'm thinking back to days when there was like a Jumpluff or something like that, where it was really easy to get out.
You could rare candy on the first turn back then as well.
Yeah. If they bring Forest back, maybe this card could. But besides that, I don't think it would be worth playing even in a stage 2 deck. I think it's a dead card.
Sure. All right, on to the unit energies. I think these are very interesting. We've got the first one here for Grass, Fire, Water. Provides colorless energy. When it's attached to Pokemon, it provides Grass, Fire, Water energy, but only provides 1 energy at a time. So sort of like those blend energies that we've had play in the past. And unit energy, the LPM has Lightning, Psychic, and Metal.
So how many types are we missing then? Is it like
I think we're missing Fairy, Fighting, and Dark.
Okay, so we'll probably get that eventually.
Fairy, Fighting, Dark. Am I missing one?
I can't think of one, but I'm not very good at that.
I don't think so. I'm gonna scroll down. Fairy, Fighting, Dark. We've got Psychic. We've got well, we wouldn't. I guess Dragon would be the other type. But there's no Dragon energy requirement. So
yeah, I doubt they'd ever give us that. So
yeah. But yeah, I think like both of the blend energies have seen play in some capacity at some point, and I would not be surprised if the same was true for these. Can you think of any specific decks or specific combos right now that you would want to throw either of these in?
The Psychic would work with Trashalanche, and then whatever else you want to put with Trashalanche. But besides that, I mean, the Grass... Ooh, the Grass would work with... I was about to say Decidueye, but you're probably playing Basics Grass because of Leafeon now. So, I don't know. We'll see. I think they probably have some...
What would you want to partner with the Decidueye Leafeon?
Off the top of my head, I have no idea.
Okay.
But you get the Water type, so if you're having trouble with the Fire Pokemon, you could probably find some Water dude to put in.
Hey, Araquanid. There we go.
They probably have some very efficient combos and expanded. Can't come up with any off the top of my head, but they probably do.
Yeah, I can't think of anything really right now. I guess like in standard, I feel like Garbodor plus maybe like something like Celesteela, similar to like the Schultz Garb list that I think that they played earlier on in the Crimson Invasion format. This would be a good fit in there. I don't know. We'll see. And lastly, I think that covers everything. This is all the full arts and stuff. We've got the Pheromosa GX, which is a reprint of the promo. Not been a great card so far. The Fast Rate is an interesting attack, and Cool Spike is... I mean, all 3 of its attacks are like interesting, but it's just not, it doesn't fit anything right now. Mm-hmm. And then Xurkitree GX, same thing. Promo card that's getting printed here. And Celesteela, same thing. Promo being printed here. I think Celesteela is the one that's seen the most play. Actually, maybe now Xurkitree is the one that's seen the most play. Who knows?
Yeah, I think so.
But one of those two. And I think that covers everything. I'm seeing if there's any... Yeah, we've got Lana. I'm just talking about reprint supporters real fast. Lana, heal 50 damage from each of your Pokemon with a water energy attached to them. Not been a played card. Lusamine reprint. Put 2 in any combination of Stadium and supporter cards from your discard to your hands. So if you're looking to play a full art one, this one's definitely, I think, cooler than the other one. But so there you go. And I think that's it. Oh, secret rare items. Sorry, I'll scroll down just a little more. Crushing Hammer reprints. So anytime there's the reason I talk about reprints is because like it could potentially keep a card in format a little longer, like we saw with VS Seeker last year. So Crushing Hammer gets a reprint here. We see Peeping Red card get a reprint. And then Unit Energy Secret Rares. And then Lunala GX and Solgaleo GX, the Sun and Moon base set ones, also have Secret Rare Gold reprints. I can't even imagine, like, Hyper Rares made it really difficult for people who do, like, max rarity and, like, collectors and stuff out there. And now these full art gold cards, if they keep doing this, people are going to be hurting trying to get these things, if that's what they're about.
Oh, so now there's 4?
Yes. So
artworks?
Yes, so past Rainbow Rare, there's also... I don't know what they have even called it, but it looks like the Rainbow Rares, except it's literally just gold. I don't know if you're looking at it right now.
Yeah, I just scrolled down and looked at it. Oh my gosh.
This dude...
All right.
The Solgaleo, after pre-release weekend, was selling for like $120.
Are they that hard to find as well, on top of being just...
Yeah,
okay.
I don't think we've had case numbers come out yet, because we haven't had... Like, I think once Darium's probably does their massive, like... 1,000 pack opening, we'll kind of know how many come per case. But
so is it regular art, full art, the shiny white ones that you can't tell which is which?
Rainbow Rares.
rainbow rares, and then I have golden rainbow rares, right? Or like
I don't know what
whatever you want to call it. Golden full art.
Yeah.
Right? That's basically what it is. Yeah.
Yes, that's basically. So.
All right. That's interesting.
So there it is, guys. There's the set. Took us an hour 45, but we made it through. Thank you, Azul, for sitting down with me. Hopefully you got to, learn some stuff about the new set you didn't know before and kind of look things over. And I know people always appreciate having, well-known and top players provide insight into the game.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Definitely learned some stuff I did not. The hippotas or whatever. I really like that one.
Yeah, real quick, I'll ask, you want to give just a quick top 3 cards from the new sets, putting you on the spot a little bit, but you just want to think, maybe not top 3, but 3 that you think like really stand out as really good cards.
Leafeon. I like Leafeon. I guess to me personally, I mean, if I want to like pick so Leafeon, Cyrus. I think Cyrus is just like good overall. Probably Magnezone. We actually don't have. There's like a lot of decent stuff in this set, but this set actually doesn't have that much good stuff. I'm gonna say instead of Magnezone, I'm gonna say Prism Darkrai.
Okay.
The chance for Turbo Dark to come back is real. We'll see. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Azul, for being on here for an hour and now 50 minutes. I got to give you a little time to do some plugs. Plug your social medias, your Twitch stream, shout out to your team, all that stuff. Anything you want to do, the floor is yours, my man.
Thank you. So shout out, of course, to Team CCG Castle, ccgcastle.com, TC Evolutions, tcevolutions.com, best dice in the game. Check out my Twitter, twitter.com/Azul_GG. I do stream as well on Twitch, twitch.tv/AzulGG. I think that about covers it. Thanks to you, Chip, for having me on. I learned actually a lot. Stuff I won't have to read up later on, so that's been cool too.
Well, appreciate it, man, for sure. Guys, thank you for watching. Definitely go check out all of Azul's links. Links will be down in the description. I personally enjoy watching his stream a lot. So if he's streaming, I'm in there from time to time, so you get to come say hello to me as well. And yeah, be sure to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram, all of those things at TrainerChip. You can also check out my articles on someone'spc.com. As always, links to those things are in the description of every video. Guys, thanks for watching. For me and Azul, we're going to get out of here. Thank you so much. Until next time, take care.
Peace.